Hi, everybody. This is Virginia Milner, and I am back with another episode of Jewelry with Jen. I wanted to take today to show you some wire wrapping techniques and explain the different types of drilled pendant beads or different types of beads, period. So I want to show you how to drill different types of beads and explain what the drilling well, not the process, but what the drilling is. So the most common types of drilling are front drilled pendants, center drilled, and side drilled or briolette. So the front drilled are the ones that are drilled right in from front to back on your pendant. So you'll see a hole there in the top, right there. And so that is front drilled. Center drilled is right up the center. Let me see if I can actually feed something through there so you can see. So it's right up the center. You'll see the hole there in the middle, and the wire would actually feed up through the center of the bead. So that's center drilled. And then the briolette or side drilled is drilled through the side of the bead, which is right here. Got a slice here and it's not. There we go. So it's drilled from side to side. So I'm going to show you how to wrap all of those different types of bead so that you will be prepared to do any kind of wire wrap that you like. So let's get started with that. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. And all you will need for that is 20 gauge wire, your jewelry cutters, flat nose or chain nose pliers, and round nose pliers, and a ruler so that you can measure out your wire. So the first thing that we're going to do is measure out the wire that you need. Now, for the front drill, it really depends on how much design or decorating you want to do of your bead after you've wrapped it. As far as the bail itself is concerned, you really only need about 4 to 5 inches of wire, and probably not even that much. But if you want to do some pretty decorations or really wrap it up a lot, you're going to want some extra wire for that. So I would probably go with no less than 6 inches, and I am going to go with 8 inches. I've got this pretty African striped jasper that I'm going to start with. That is top drilled. And I think I'm going to go with copper. Nah, I'm going to go with silver. So you want to take, yes, silver. So I'm going to get, I'm going to really give myself a good amount. So I'm going to give myself 8 inches of wire for my bail. Oh, and this, let's see if I can show you. Let me cut that real quick. This is a pretty big, a pretty large pendant bead. It's a good almost 2 inches, about 1 3/4 inches from the little heart-shaped spaces. So it's a pretty good size. So if I wanted to decorate that, I want to make sure I have enough to work with. So I've given myself a good 8 inches, yes, a good 8 inches of wire. And the first thing that I'm going to do is feed the wire through the bead, front to back, back to front. It doesn't matter at this point. I'm just going to feed it through my bead at the top. Make sure it's kind of centered. Bring the wires up so that the tips match. And then I'm going to fold it over so that the ends of the wires cross. So now I have just a little space at the top, like that. So now I'm going to, you can either use your pliers, if this is very malleable wire, so you don't really need pliers, but you can use pliers, and I can use them because I think it's easier for you to see what I'm doing. Right above where the wires cross over, I'm going to place my pliers or my fingers, it's your choice, and I'm going to give it a twist. Oops, wrong way. I'm going to give it a twist one time and then 2 times. So now I have a nice twist in my wire, and my wires are facing front to back. I'm going to take my round nose pliers. I'm going to slide my wire down until it's back at the very base of my pliers. I'm taking one wire, the one that's closest to me, I'm going to wrap towards the camera. So I'm going to take the one closest to me and wrap away from me, and let it hang down the other side. I'm going to take the pliers out and show you what I have. I have a loop here. Now I'm going to put the pliers back in. All the way back in the back again. I've got both of my wires captured, and I'm going to squeeze that wire and rock it just a little bit so that when I take it out now, you see a nice round loop. See that? Now I'm going to take the other side, the other wire, slide the pliers back in, the wires all the way back to the back of my pliers back here. And I'm going to wrap it away from me again and down the other side. So you can see I have another half loop right here. Now I'm going to put my pliers back in. Let me turn it the other way so you can see. I'm going to put my pliers back in both loops. And again, I'm going to rock my pliers back and forth so that when I take them out, I have a nice neck on both of my loops. So now I'm going to go back in again and pick up one of my wires. It doesn't matter which one. Bring it over to the side and wrap it around both wires in between the pliers. I'm just wrapping it around. And again, I'm going to turn it so that you can see what I'm doing. Wrap. And keep wrapping. So you can see a wrap forming there. I'm just going to keep wrapping until I get all the way down to the top of my bead. So now you can see I have a nice scarf on my bead, a nice wrap on the top. And now I can cut that end off. You can keep wrapping until you have no more wire, or you can stop it at a certain point and then cut the wire off, which is what I'm going to do. Now, when you're cutting your wire off, make sure that you hold on to your bead so it doesn't drop, and the end so it doesn't fly across the room or fly into your face and hurt you. So there's my tip, my wire. And now I have an edge of my wire that's sticking up here that I need to push down so that it won't snag on anything. I'm going to take my flat nose pliers or your round nose pliers, whichever you're more comfortable with, and I'm going to just squeeze that down so that it's not in the way. I like to check it with my fingers and make sure there's nothing sticking out there. There we go. And now I have my other piece of wire. Now I can either cut this off or I can decorate my bead with it. It's entirely up to you what you want to do. I think I'm going to make a little spiral just because I like to do that. Oh, and also I like rabbit-eared, a nice rabbit-eared bail, especially when I have a large pendant. I think that looks really pretty. And this also looks nice on a heart shape. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and make a spiral, just a small spiral with my round nose pliers. It doesn't have to be anything crazy because this is such a beautiful bead that I don't want to cover it up too much. But I will do a spiral. So what I'm going to do is take my round nose pliers and grab my wire right at the tip of my pliers, grab the tip of my wire, and I'm going to make a loop. Just rotate my pliers until I have a full closed loop. And then I'm going to keep rotating until I've wrapped the wire a little bit around itself. So I have a little bit of a spiral there. And now I'm going to keep going because I think I'm going to make it a nice tight spiral that goes up at the top. So I'm going to put my either round nose pliers or your flat nose pliers. I'm going to grab it on the side of my spiral like that. And I'm going to start rotating. And what I'm doing is basically wrapping my wire around itself. So got a little kink there. I think I'm going to put that out. There we go. Keep wrapping until I get all the way to the top. And that will just kind of cover up the little hole that's there. A little spiral. Put it where I want it, right in the center. And there we go. There, I think that's nicely centered. And that's her first wrap. So the second wrap that I'm going to show you is the center wrap. So we have a nice center drilled bead. And so I'm going to show you a wrap. Let's see. I'm trying to, I think there are a couple ways that you can do this. The veil itself is the same, but there's a couple of different ways that you can finish it off. And I think I'm going to show you how to put a small spiral at the bottom. I think that's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is determine how long my bead is. And this may not be enough wire. This was left over from another project. Let's see what we got here. So that's about 8 inches. That should be enough. My bead is about 1 3/4 inches long, so that's a pretty good size bead. No, it's about 1.5 inches. So I need at least 1.5 inches to feed through the bead. And then I need another couple of inches for my veil and any fun stuff I might want to do at the top. And then I'm going to need something to do a spiral at the bottom. So I need at least 1.5, 2, 3, 4, at least 4 inches for my veil. So I've got 8 inches here. I'm going to use about 3 of it to make a spiral. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So again, I'm going to grab the tip of my pliers and take the tip of my pliers and grab the tip of my wire, and I'm going to make a spiral. So there we go with this again. Just wrapping. And this is a pretty, it's kind of it's not exactly oval. It's a little more pear-shaped, so it's got a kind of a wide enough bottom that I think this spiral will look really nice. So I'm going to spiral that out. I want to make sure I have a good 4 inches left. I can keep going. I've got another inch or so. All right, I think that'll work. Yes, I think that will do it. Let's see what we got. So, see if that looks big enough for the bottom. I think so. Doesn't have to be overpowering. And another thing is, you can decide on when they're center drilled like this, you can decide which way you want to turn it. I can have the smaller side on the top. It's kind of a little flat egg shape. Or I can have the smaller side on the bottom. That's entirely up to you which way you want to go with it. I think just to be different, then I'm going to put that smaller side on the bottom. So let's see what we have here. Now I can leave that exactly where it is. I don't have to really do anything more with it, but I think I want it to be on the face of my bead instead of hanging off the bottom like that. That would be pretty, wouldn't it? It's a thought. Just something different. Not necessarily important, but just something different. We'll see. We'll see, we'll see. So what I'm going to do now is show you how to do the wrap part. And all you need to do, because it's going to be a single loop, is bring your wire back I'm going to bring it towards me like that. So there we go, kind of horizontal, laying flat towards me. Then I'm going to take my pliers, my round nose pliers, and slide them in until the wire is all the way to the back of my pliers again. Wrap my wire away from me over the top of my bead. There's my loop. You can see that one side has a nice neck and the other side is straight down. So I'm going to put my pliers back in. I'm going to grasp the side that has the end of the wire hanging down, and I'm going to squeeze my pliers closed and rock back towards the tail of the wire. Then when I take my pliers out, give that a good pinch, I have a little bit of a bail. Now somehow or another I got a little glitch in there, so I need to get that out. So I'm just going to go back in, squeeze it until that glitch goes away. Now if your fingers aren't very strong, you can go in with your flat nose pliers just under the round nose pliers and just give it a pinch. Just squeeze until you have a nice circle. That's another easy way to do it. If you don't have really strong fingers that you can squeeze the wire and roll it at the same time, just use your pliers. This is very, very, very flexible wire. I keep saying that. Very flexible, malleable wire, so you may be able to do it with your fingers, but if it's too much, then just go ahead and use your pliers. Now I'm going to go back with my pliers again, grab on the side of my loop, like so. And I'm going to wrap my wire around just under the pliers and above the bead, and just wrap it several times. You can take that off now so you maybe can see better. Just wrap it around several times until I have a nice scarf on my wire, just above my bead. And there we have it. Now I can decide what I want to do at the bottom. Make sure that your bail is facing, the rounded part is facing front to back, and the opening is side to side, because when you string your cord or your chain through, you want to make sure that it's hanging properly. So there's your bail. I have a little piece of wire left here. I can keep wrapping if I want to, or I can make a little loop or whatever I want to do with that. I think I'm going to leave this clean and just finish it off. Just keep wrapping until there's no more wire left. And once it gets too short that I can't hold it with my fingers, I can either cut it off or I can wrap with my other pliers. Grab that tail, wrap it around. And then when I get to where I really can't do anything more with it, tiny little tail, I'm going to cut that off. I'm going to cut that little tail off. Again, I'm going to put my finger on the side of it, because you do not want to put your finger over the tip of it in case it decides to fly. Or even better, point it down into a little well of some kind. Oh, I know, I will put it in this little empty wire thing. Point it down in there, cut it, and the little end falls down inside the well. A friend of mine told me that she cuts hers down in a paper sack, which is also a good idea. So I've got a little tip there that I need to squeeze down so that it doesn't catch on anything. There we go. Just neaten up my wire a little bit. And there is my veil. Ta-da! Got my little wrap at the bottom. And I think I will leave it like that. That's kind of cute. You can leave it like that, or you can fold it over so that it's on the face of your bead. It's entirely up to you, but I think that's kind of pretty. And I don't have any decoration on my bead. I'm just leaving it like that. Now, here's the thing. You can also add more wire. You can take a piece of wire and wrap it around the veil and then decorate that way if you want to, or you can just leave it as is. We're going to leave it as is. So, last but not least, we're going to do a side drilled piece. This one's drilled right there on the side. Where is it? There it is. So I have this lovely piece of jasper that it's just a jasper slice that I'm going to show you how to wrap. And it's a really big one. I think this is about 2.5 inches. From tip to tip, it is 2 3/4, 2 5/8 of an inch. That is a good size. So, what do I want to do with you? I could just make a nice big veil on top and leave it to its own beauty because it is absolutely gorgeous. Or I can give myself enough wire that I can play if I want to. Here's the good part about giving yourself extra wire. You can get the extra wire, do the wrap, and if you don't like it, you can just cut it off and leave it the way it was in the beginning. You do not have to keep a wrap if you don't like it. The only thing that we're doing right now is the veil. And if you don't want to do anything else, you don't have to. So I'm going to give myself about 10 inches of wire, just so I can have it, just in case I decide to play. So I'm going to go in from the side. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the front drilled one. I'm debating if there's another way I want to do it for you, just to give you something else to work with. But I think I'm going to go from the side and just cross it over again. So we're going to bring the wire up. It's not quite in the center, so let's scoot that over a little. Okay, bring my wire up, cross it over the top, cross the ends over. Okay. Either use your pliers or your fingers and give it a couple of twists. And just remember, something like this is a natural slice, so it's not going to be symmetrical. So just remember, you can see on this side the wire's longer than this side. That's because of the way it's drilled. So that's just the beauty of something that's natural. Okay, so I'm going to give it a twist and one more twist. So I have a nice big twist at the top. I think I'm going to untwist one of those half of the way. So there we go. So that's pretty good. That's a little. That's good. And I'm gonna do a double again because this is a really big bead and I think it'll make it more secure. So I'm gonna bring this front to back, like on the other one. Make it a little tighter, there we go. Take my pliers in, slide it all the way to the back of my, or slide the wire all the way to the back of my pliers. Bring the wire over and down on the other side. Grab my wire and my bead. Squeeze in the middle, rock it back so I can create a neck. And now I have a nice loop. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Slide my pliers into the other loop, the loop that I just made, grabbing my other piece of wire as I go, wrap it over the top and down the other side. Grab it with my fingers, rock it back so that I can create a noose. And there I have a nice loop. Okay, let me slide my pliers back in there again. And I'm going to wrap one of the wires around between the pliers and the bead. Just wrap it and wrap it and wrap it. Now I'm just wrapping, I want to turn it a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So here's my wire. I'm going to wrap it halfway and then I'll turn it so that you can see on the other side. Just wrap, wrap, and wrap. And just keep wrapping until I get down to the top of the bead. Now the neat part about the bralettes and something with a tip on it is that I can wrap it down, give it a scarf over my bead. So I'm going to keep wrapping down the wire until I get to the top, and then I'm going to create a little scarf on the top. So it's got a little cap over the top and then a scarf once I get down there. And now got a little tail of wire on there. I'm just going to press that in. Press that down so it won't hurt my clothes or scratch my skin. Get that down there nice and tight. So you can see I have a nice little scarf on the top. And this is supposed to be very organic, so it's kind of a messy like wrap. Isn't that neat? Now, I can either use this to do something ornate, or I can do what I'm going to do, which is basically just keep wrapping. So I'm going to keep wrapping down my bead until the tip of it has a nice scarf on it. So see that? Getting a nice scarf on there. Just kind of capping it off. And there we go. Now I'm just going to make a loop on here to finish it off. So that other tail that I had on there is nicely covered up, so I don't have to worry about that. Now I have another tail that I have to do something with. I think I'm going to put a loop. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to put that loop over here. So I'm going to make it kind of big. So I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers again and make a loop that's going to sit on the front or the back. It depends on where you want it to go. Just going to make a little loop here. Let's see, here we go. Hold it a bit and make my little loop. And once I have my loop, I'm just going to push it down against those wires. Here we go. Now I'm going to straighten up my bail a little bit. I'm going to rabbit ear it. If you don't want to use your nails, just use your pliers. Slide those down in there. Turn it out until you have a bail. Nice double-eared bail. And there we go. Awesome. So that is it. Ooh, there's a really nice detail in here. You can see where the rock is kind of blemished. It's really neat. I like slices. They just make nice little pendants. You don't really have to do anything but put it on. Oh, I love it. All right, so those are our wraps. That's our briolet. That's our center drill. And that's our top drill from front to back. Those are our bails. Now, there is actually another one. And it is a donut. Ta-da! There's a hole right in the middle there. And I can show you how to do something with that as well. It's pretty easy. It's really the same premise as you doing the top drill, except that you can wrap it a little more if you want. And this is a very, very thin hole. I'm not sure how many times I can run through there. Yeah, it's not a big donut. It's just a little hole in the center. So usually if you have a donut, the hole is a lot bigger, obviously. So I'm going to give myself 12 inches of wire just so I have plenty. I'd say 10 to 12. Okay. And I'm going to feed that through the center. And I'm going to make sure I have about a 3-inch tail here. Bring that up. And I'm going to bring this around and back through again. So there, that's nice and secure in there. And then I'm going to take the short one, squeeze that a little bit so that it's nicely indented. I'm going to take this short wire and wrap it around the long wire twice, all the way around. There we go. Now I'm going to take the long wire and I'm going to make, oops, round those pliers, and I'm going to make a bail. So I'm going to bring the wire back until it's facing me. Oops, sorry for flashing everybody. That's not good. I'm going to bring the wire back until it's pointing at me. Slide my wire down the bail, down the pliers until they're at the back of the pliers again. Rotate my wire over the top, bring it down to the other side. See how the loop is leaning towards one side? Then I'm going to put my pliers back in, grab the bottom, or if you need to, use your pliers and grab it under the pliers, under the round nose pliers, and over the bead, just in between the two. Squeeze and rotate the loop back. And then when you pull it out, you have a nice neck on both sides. So I have a nice loop. And now I'm going to take that small piece of wire and I'm going to continue wrapping around both sides of the wire. So I have a nice messy loop here. I mean, my nice messy wrap. There we go. I have a little tip there that I need to press down. And I'll tell you a secret. I find it easier when it's sticking straight out like that. It's kind of hard to press it down. So what I do is take my round nose pliers and give it a little bit of a bend, a little bit of a curve, so that it's facing in the direction of the bead already. And then when I push it down, it makes it a lot easier. It just scoots right on in there. Okay, so there's my bail. I'm going to take the rest of my wire, the long edge. I'm going to wrap it around there a couple of times and create a little scarf. So there's that. And then I'm going to decide whether or not I want to wrap this so I have a front or a back. I think I'm going to give it one more wrap. So a nice scarf on there. And now I'm going to, I think I want to identify a front and a back. So what I'm going to do is make a little spiral. And because this is very rounded, I want to make sure it's going to lay flat. So I'm going to hyperextend this back away from the front of my bead, which is right here. And then I'm going to make my spiral, so that it ends up very close to my bead. So I'm going to make my spiral going down, roll it around. This is a nice loose spiral. Just want something on the front. And press it down so that it lays a little flatter. And there we go. So now on the other side, I'm going to give it a little tweak. So I'm going to grab it with my flat nose pliers and I'm just going to turn. Give it a little bolt of lightning. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Let's give it a little turn. Ooh, this is very slippery. And a lightning bolt. There we go. So that either way you turn this, it has a little bit of decoration on it. Scooch that over. And I could do that on the other side too if I wanted. Matter of fact, I might spread that just a little bit. I don't want to lightning bolt it, but I think I will spread it out. Just give it a little bit of an opening. And I've got my spiral a little off to the side and I like it there. Yeah, I think that looks graceful. So there we go. So there you have it. 4 different types of drilled bead and several different ways of wrapping. So you can kind of buy anything. You can wrap, definitely wrap anything. Straighten it out a little bit. And then what you do with the extra wire is entirely up to you. There we go. So that's it. That's our program for today. Got you several wraps in there that I hope that will help you in the future when you are doing some wire wrapping. Then I'm also going to be showing you some other wraps, but I hope you're enjoying this. Please let me know. I love comments. Oh, by the way, we've got this out on YouTube now. So if anybody would rather look at it on YouTube, go to the website and it will give you a link to the playlist on YouTube. So you can get this on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Please send me, either email me, because there's an email address in there for this class. Either email me pictures of things that you do or post them on Facebook, because that would be great. I would love to see it. Okay? Until next time, stay safe and stay well. Try to stay cool because it's really heating up out there. And see you next time. Bye-bye.